Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host, Rich Owens. Hello, how are you? Lovely to see you. You look lovely today. Have you done something new with your hair? It really, really suits you. Speaking of lovely, I am joined this week by 2/3 of the FM team. This week, we have the United City FM Kev with us. We have Kev Callum with us. Jeb, unfortunately unavailable due to just that job he does and the traveling and him working ridiculously hard. We miss you, and hopefully you'll be back next week, pal. Hopefully you'll be back. We love you lots. But let's address the people that are here. First and foremost, Kev, how are you today, pal?
Are you not going to compliment me on my hair? I'm a bit, you know.
The bits that you've dyed look terrific.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It's always a highlight of my week, just seeing your smiley, happy faces, and Jeb's smiley, happy face when he's here, obviously. But yeah, it's good. I'm happy to be here. I'm doing all right, and I'm looking forward to another hour or so of FM conversation. Why not? Let's do this.
Let's absolutely do it. I can't wait as well. I'm excited. Also, back from his appearance at a wedding last week. He was out on loan at a wedding, but we've had to recall him. It's the man who I affectionately refer to as a boy just made of sunshine before we started recording. And I think it works. Hello, you sunny little blighter. You. How are you, Callum?
Hi, Rich. I'm wonderful. It's very confusing because I'm just looking at a wall, but actually, it's you. So hi, Rich. I'm really, really good. Thank you. Looking forward to this. I missed you all last week, so it's nice to be back. We've said this before. When you miss a week, it does feel a bit odd. It really does. This does become part of your weekly schedule. So, but for the week, with regards to Football Manager, I've had quite the week. This week. Not only did Football Manager follow me on Twitter, they know who I am. Yes. They know who I am, which is genuinely, I'm not saying this ironically, I was over the moon. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. The game I play knows who I am. And I don't know, it was just on a random day as well. So it was really, really cool. And not only did that happen, that you might not have heard of him, a little known streamer called Zealand. Zealand raided me with 938 people. So that was quite the day as well. It's just madness, absolute madness. Anyone who's ever experienced the Zealand raid, and he is fantastic for those. Like, he really does support the FM community, throwing his people to him. And what I loved about the raid was is it copy and pasta? Is that what he does? Where they have the copy and paste message and that was spammed massively. Where initially you go, what is this? Oh, it's Zealand. It's fine. And so that all happened. But then some people hung around and they actually got involved in the stream. And you just think that's exactly what you want. That is exactly what you want. You want people who've gone, oh, okay, I'll give you a go, and I'll hang around for a little bit. And they had a chat, and then I streamed the next day, and a few of them came back again. I was like, this is amazing. Thank you, Zealand. Thank you very much, Zealand and Mumbot. It was genuinely a very surreal streaming experience. Raids, as I actually went back and watched Zealand's stream. I'm very strange like that. And I thought, what did he say? And he said, we're going to raid over to Kev Callum. Let's go and make his day. And my word, did he make my day. So thank you very much, Zealand. If you happen to be watching this, I appreciated it massively. But yeah, quite an FM week for me.
That's
Absolutely,
amazing.
mate.
He's a good fella, isn't he? He just is. He's a good guy.
Lovely bloke.
I've heard many, many good things. And hey, Z, if anybody who knows who's watching or listening to this podcast, and if I want to recommend a podcast for him to appear on to him, this one's quite good, as it turns out. Come for a chat, and we can just sit and say, hey, thanks for rating us those times. It was really, really kind of you. And then we'll just sit there in silence for the better part of an hour.
To let you talk.
Great. Exactly. Yep. Just let him talk. Just let him go. Put 50p in the Z and just let him go. And we can just sit there and listen and just take notes, if I'm honest with you. It really is. It really is lovely. I don't think that a lot of the bigger streamers who are bigger streamers for a reason, it's because they're just good at streaming. I think sometimes you just don't. It's hard to remember the impact that just sending a couple of hundred people to a smaller streamer, the impact that has. It's incredible. It's absolutely, it's such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful feeling. So long may it continue. As I say, the FM community in general are great for just sharing the love around, sharing the audience. It's a really, really, really nice thing. We've all been there. I've been lucky enough to get one. Kev, we were talking before we went live. You've never been on the end of a Z stream, but there is a certain football journalist that has sent some people your way. On
that is true. I mean, before I get to that, I have had a Y Callum raid occasionally, which is, you know,
those are the best ones.
What more can you ask for, really? But yeah, the biggest raid I had in terms of impact on numbers and that moment of there's loads of people coming in and saying the same thing, and I don't know what's going on. Am I being botted or something? You know, was I got a raid from Fabrizio Romano, which was amazing. He's a good guy, and he followed me as well. So you know. Which is lovely. So yeah, he jumped in with like 1,500 people or some random number of weirdness, and I, you know, cut about 30 seconds out and put it on a YouTube video because I couldn't quite believe it. And they all jumped in and all told me at the same time I should sign Keiki. Okay, good. Don't know why it was him, but it was. So I didn't. But
Kev.
It is what it is. But yeah, I am yet to experience the Zealand raid. Hi, Zealand, love you.
He's next. See,
he's next. He's next.
I'm never on at the right moment. That's the problem. I'll raid him, and he'll be on his podcast.
Yeah.
I got a United City FM raid.
Exactly, that'll pop him. It'll pop me. I'd be delighted. I'd be absolutely delighted. No, it's been a great week. It's been a good week for FM. I think for the three of us in different ways. That's a segue, boys. That's a segue. Because we like to start each podcast by having a little chat about what we've been up to with our stream saves. This week, I think it's my turn, fellas. I think it's my go for a chat. Which is because I have been streaming. I've been back this week. I celebrated my 2-year anniversary on Twitch last Thursday, which was very exciting for me. Thank you, boys. Golf claps all around. It was lovely. Officially, my stream anniversary was Tuesday of last week, but because I'm a consummate professional, not only did I not realize until it was too late, I was also gigging in real life. I wasn't even at home, so I couldn't do it. And it would have felt weird if I just started interacting with the audience like they're on my stream chat while I was gigging. That would have been really, really strange. But no, I had a cracking time. We sat down and cracked on with the Scandinavian Triple Crown Challenge. As if you remember from last time I started, I'm Odds Ball Club over in Norway. Obviously, Tony Jameson affiliated Odds Ball Club. What a treat. A great team, lovely team. Got some players that I absolutely adore. If you listened to our Scandinavian football episode, Rongen Jonsson, you'll know, is one of my favorite central midfielders in the game. He is there. I was delighted. We set the save up. We got going. Of course, the objectives are I need to win the league in Norway before I can move on to Sweden. Then I need to win the league in Sweden before I can move on to Denmark. Then I win the league in Denmark, and then we're halfway through FM24, and I'm 6 months behind content compared to everybody else because it's going to take me ages. But I'm excited about it because I love me some Scandi football. Got Odds Ball Club set up, started playing some games, started surprisingly well, boys. I went on a 6-match unbeaten streak to start the save, which was apparently a club record because that's what I do. I just come in and I somehow make things better. Set myself up a nice little simple, fairly basic 4-3-3 because I'm not here to reinvent the wheel, but I think I've got the players to do a bit of damage with this formation. Wasn't quite working the way I was hoping for. I wasn't really getting the best out of my midfield because with Odds Ball Club, there's one area in the pitch they really do excel in. It's kind of central midfielders. So they've got, you've got Rongen Jonsson, who's talked about. There's Ars, who is very fun to write down. Definitely, there were comments of "unleash the arse" in my chat, which was
understandable.
an absolute joy, And then to appease former FMT host Alice, FM girl, I also signed Morten Gams Pedersen as well. But I was struggling to get the most out of the midfield. So I just took the defensive midfielder, so at the base of the middle, and just moved him up into an attacking midfielder role. So I'm like, hey, maybe he'll create a little bit more. Nah, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Form just dropped on its bottom. And suddenly we'd gone from being quite optimistic about, I was thinking, hey, top 4 finish season 1 I'd take, and then we can build on that. I was like, I'm looking at mid-table at best here, boys. We were dropping points all over the place. The defense, who are quite well put together, just started making really, really silly mistakes. I'm like, oh, this is starting to look like actually I might have bitten off more than I can chew here. This might take a little while, but give it 3 or 4 seasons. We'll get the youngsters first team football ready, and then give it 2 or 3 years. They might be ready for a challenge for the title. That's what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm telling chat. I was like, this is going to be fine. In the long run, this is going to be fine. Might take a little bit longer than we were expecting, but we'll be there or thereabouts in 2 or 3 seasons. And then, boys, my chat regular, also just friend of the United City FM, Viva Corona. Hi, Viva. Lovely.
Very lovely guy.
He's an absolute treat, is Viva.
Yep.
Pointed out to me that he had spotted in my kind of, leagues and focus, leagues news from around the leagues section, that there'd been a sacking in Norway, quite a high profile sacking. The Rosenborg job was suddenly very, very available. Now, if you don't know, they're a bit of a, is sleeping giant possibly the right phrase to use for them? Used to be quite dominant in the Norwegian Football League. I think they won about 4 on the spin about 8 years ago. And then they've kind of, slowly started losing footing to clubs like Bodø Glimt. But I haven't won a league in quite a few years. And if I'm honest with you, I was considering them as the jumping off point for the save. But then in the end, I thought, odds Ball Club, I want Rongen Jonsson. I want a bit of familiarity. And I want to be happy. But the job became available. And my chat were like, Rich, you should apply for the job. I'm like, oh, should I though? Because worst case scenario here is that I apply for the job, they say no, and then Odds Ball Club go, how dare you? Get out. Off you go. And then suddenly I'm very, very unemployed 6 months into the first season. But chat were like, no, you should definitely do it. You should definitely do it. Because we weighed it up. We did the maths. And we figured that, because at this stage, by the way, Rosenborg were bottom of the league. They were bottom with 6. Yeah, they were awful start. I think it was 6 points from their opening 10 or 11 games. Absolutely rotten football being played. And they were like, look, if you can save Rosenborg this season, next season, you'll probably be in with a shout at the title, because the money is there, the structure of the club is there. And we were like, okay, let's do the maths. Odds Ball Club, I probably won't get sacked because the objectives are just don't get relegated, basically. That's the long and the short of it. The objectives are try not to get relegated and you'll be fine. Mid-table finishes, maybe you start to work your way up in 5 or 6 seasons' time, but in the short term, just do whatever you can. It's probably going to take about 3 or 4 years. But then they're like, well, Rosenborg, you might be there within 2. So I thought, all right, mathematically, this makes sense. So let's give it a go. Chucked an application in. The next day, didn't get any negative messages from the odds board. So like straight away, I'm like, actually, you know what? This is win-win now. This is win-win. This is the best case scenario. Not getting sacked. And if I get the better job, fantastic. If I don't get the better job, I can just carry on as if nothing happened. Yep. It took a little while. No messages. Oh, this is very exciting. We'd like to offer you an interview. It took about 2 in-game weeks. And I'm thinking at this point, it's definitely not going to happen. We're just going to keep cracking through. We're going to keep playing games, keep treading water with Odd. And then eventually we'll get that, oh no, sorry, you didn't get the job because Pep Guardiola was keen, as it turns out. So we just hired him instead. Soz, as is often the way, a much more high-profile manager swoops in from a foreign country and steals your job from underneath your feet. But then I got invited to an interview. I was like, oh, Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. And I made some promises that I can probably keep. And then I made some promises that I'm definitely not going to, because they were like, hey, we're looking for a manager that's coming to the club and they want to build something long term. Is that you? And I'm like, but 100% that's me. 100%. I want to win the league here. That's what I want to do. And then definitely resign the day afterwards and move to a different country. But shh, you don't know that yet. I'm like, I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to be here forever. I'm going to die at this club. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait. They believed me. They definitely believed me. But then, again, after the interview, that's just, the pause is too long. There was a little bit too much distance, and I'm thinking, it's been a week now. This isn't going to happen. So I'm playing games. We're having a little Norwegian Cup run, which is very, very nice. Mathematically speaking, somehow I managed to draw 2 teams from the Norwegian Premier League in the Norwegian Cup rounds 1 and 2, which, considering there's practically every club from Norway in there, you would expect you're going to draw some, like 4th tier no-hopers, who, it's the equivalent of like, your tier 9 football club from England. It's like, okay, well, this striker is also a plumber. So, he's got 3 for finishing, but he's got 19 in grouting. So he's going to be a threat in some capacity. If you want your bathroom doing, he's the boy. No, 2 Norwegian Premier League clubs who we inexplicably knocked out twice on penalties. Then we drew a tier 3 club who we beat 3-0. But if you looked at the post-game statistics, you'd think that, they should have been switched over because they battered us, but we somehow scored 3 goals past them. At this point, I'm thinking, you know what? Rosenborg's not happening, is it? It's just not going to happen. Let's knuckle down. Let's focus on odd. Let's move forward. What's my next fixture? Oh, cool. It's Rosenborg tomorrow. What are the chances? Played out the drabbest 1-1 draw of my life. And I'm like, well, that's not done me any favors in trying to get that job, because they're definitely going to reject me now. And then the day after the Rosenborg game, you get the most exciting email in the world when you've applied for a new job. It's like, hey, here's your budget for bringing across backroom staff. Are there any that you're interested in bringing with you? I said no to everything. My chat was screaming at me because arguably my highest profile signing of the save so far, better than Morten Gamst Pedersen, is somehow I managed to bring in Carlos Puyol as a defensive coach. That makes complete sense. Makes nothing but sense to me. A man from, beautiful Barcelona, sunny, hot weather, paella on tap. He was like, nah, you know what I fancy? The eternal winter. The eternal winter of Scandinavia. That's going to be good for me. Left him there. I was like, no, you've obviously made a poor life choice. You've made a very, very poor life choice there, Carlos. You can stay. You can stay at Oxbow Club. And then I got the Rosenborg job, boys. Got the bloody Rosenborg gig, which is very exciting for me. What I've done is I've turned up, I've had a look, and then I've gone, nope, we'll revisit this next stream. But the Scandinavian Triple Crown Challenge is still on. I have already moved clubs, which is surprising to me, because I don't normally do that with these kind of challenges. But yeah, Rosenborg, 6 months to go of the league. We're just about halfway through the league, give or take. Thanks to the draw with Odds Bowel Club, they've lifted themselves off the bottom of the table. So technically, I'm doing a fantastic job already. They are off the bottom of the table. They are, 4 points behind the teams outside of the relegation zone. But my budget compared to Odds Bowel Club, I think my transfer budget when I left Odd was, I think, about 100k. My transfer budget is now around £3.5 million.
Wow.
So I've got a feeling I'm just going to buy the league. That's the plan. Buy the league, wave bye-bye, and then I'm going to be CM Punk hopping the barrier with the title, blowing a kiss to John Cena, and then I'm off. I'm gone forever. Nobody will ever see me again.
It's quite funny, Rich, because I tuned in for I was like, because I think it was the Thursday when this happened.
It was Thursday night, yes.
So I think I'd raided into you, and I had you on my PC still, and I was doing things, and then I was like, I wonder how he's getting on now. And I clicked back, and it was literally the moment where you clicked on, went, oh my goodness, it's happening, isn't it? Because the staff thing came up, and you're like, this is really good news. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm not going to do anything because I want this to happen. And it was like, Puyol, no, we can't do anything. We must just say no, because then they'll give us the job. And then it was like, it's happened. I've got the job. And we'll leave it there, I think, chat. It's like, no! It's just like the mic drop moment of, we've got it. See ya. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Tune in next time to find out how I ruin this. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting going. Don't get me wrong. I'm really excited about starting the challenge afresh with Rosenborg. But there's a lot going on there. Trying to work out why a club is in the position the club is in when it shouldn't be. That's going to be the first challenge, because when I played them with Odd, they played well. They seem to set up quite well. They've got defensively that the players look all right. Decent midfield. There are goal scoring threats there. So just trying to figure out what's been going on and trying to stop the rot is going to be the most difficult thing moving forwards. But I'm excited about it. And we should also, just before we move on as well, I think it's fair to say, just from my own point of view, thank you to everyone that tuned in on Thursday night. Wonderful way to spend a 2-year anniversary. Really, really enjoyable. Loads of people in chat, lots of great people. And also, I set myself a little target, which I've never done before, but I set myself a little target. And the target was, this is my 2-year anniversary. A 2-year anniversary. I've never done things like, let's do a subathon, let's do anything like that. But I thought, you know what? We'll set a target. If I get 10 subs on my 2-year anniversary stream, I will do something that will make me feel deeply uncomfortable on stream, because people seem to enjoy that kind of thing. Because let's not forget, I'm still owed a pasting by Big Damo. But
we haven't forgotten.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Nobody's forgotten. Damo definitely hasn't. But I'm due a battering by Big Damo. But people seem to be invested in me looking and feeling uncomfortable on stream. About a week ago, I inexplicably decided to download the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes on my PlayStation, because there was like a bundle on for about a tenner. Resident Evil 2 on the N64 is one of my favorite ever games. I downloaded, I bought the remake a few years ago, just after it came out, played it for 5 minutes, and the internal dread and anxiety that gripped me was terrifying. So I just had to turn it off and never touch it again. Because I got 10 subs, I'm going to stream a playthrough on Twitch. First time I've ever streamed a non-FM game online, but because of the generosity of the wider FM community and the audience and the viewers, you now get to watch me having a 6-hour-long existential crisis as I fail at new Resident Evil. Somebody in chat said, you're going to have to wait for a night where Mrs. Owens is free so she can sit next to you and just like hug you through it and talk you down. Yes, I am. 100% I am. Man shoots zombie and then cries for 5 minutes. That's happening in the future as well. So hey, keep an ear out for those.
That makes a good YouTube video though. That's very clickbaity. Man shoots zombies and cries for 5 minutes. That's getting views, I reckon.
This is the thing. It's not even clickbait, is it? It's just an accurate statement. Man shoots zombie and then just does a little cry.
Does a little cry. It gets better.
I really hope there aren't more than 2 zombies in this game, because I just can't cope. It's not an exaggeration. It's really not an exaggeration. I have a big old wobble while I'm doing that. So cheers, guys.
I think this is a big step into a new world of Rich plays horror games.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's the way you're going to make your millions on Twitch, if I'm totally honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the constitution for it. I don't play them recreationally.
Can I recommend the original game Fear? That was quite fun.
Sounds really fun. Sounds really fun.
It's actually a really great shooter game. I really loved the series, but what it's got is my least favorite thing in the entire world, which is slightly demonic child.
No, I've got one at home. I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't want it recreationally as well.
I'd like it to be, you've got that channel points redemption thing on your stream, Rich, where if you get like 100,000 channel points or whatever it is, you'll come and do a comedy gig. Yes. I'd like one at like 200,000. Rich will play fear or something like that. I'm part way there already to the comedy, and I think I can do the other one too eventually.
Yeah. 200,000 points, Rich will stream the horror game of your choosing. And I know there are some absolute stinkers out there. So yeah, great. That'll be it. Thank you, everybody. That's going to be my future, isn't it? It'll be 300,000 stream from haunted house. Brilliant. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Get saving, everyone. Get saving.
Exactly. 400,000. Just perform an exorcism. It's going to stack up. It's going to stack up and up and up, isn't it? Because we've had the conversation before. If you're not being mildly bullied by your chat, are they really invested in you as a streamer? It's like, right. Let's see how quickly we can break him. Let's just ruin him psychologically. And if you've listened to last week's episode, we know we're not far away. So let's just double down on that.
To be totally honest with you, I've played a few of these games, like Fear, for example. As I say, I think I'm more scared when I load up FM23 at the moment than anything else.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. And
so, do you regret Morten Gamst Pedersen? Is my question.
I mean, no,
I wasn't a fan of that particular signing, if I'm totally honest. But you did it, and that's all good.
I was about to say it was fan service, but it really, as it turns out, it clearly wasn't. It was fan service for one very, very specific person who used to be on pod with us. That's what it was for. Not even sure she's aware, but I did it, and you know what? He turned up. He injured himself for a month before he'd even kicked a ball, but then he got an assist on his debut. So money well spent, if you ask me.
The other thing, just to encourage you, is in FM22, I did a Nordic Glory Hunter series, my Road to Valhalla series. Started at Viking in Norway, spent 4 seasons with them. Eventually couldn't win the league and needed to. So I moved on, and the Rosenborg job became available. So I took it, and my entire chat was basically saying, that's it, you've done it, sorted. Season from now will be in one of the others. It took me 4 because Bodo Glimt were a pain. Good luck, Rich.
Yeah, they are quite good, aren't they? They are quite good. I might just hope that it all goes wrong there. Realistically speaking, it's just it's less Scandinavian Triple Crown, more wait it out for Bodo Glimt. That's the long term plan.
I kind of want the villain arc of Carlos Poyle now. I feel like Carlos Poyle should go through the ranks. Exactly. Get the job. Yes. And then it's sort of like you against Poyle. I could narrative. Yes, I can see it coming.
Oh, can't you just though? Me against Carlos. Me against Carlos. And I have said some choice things about Carlos Poyle in the past as well. I'm not afraid to admit it. One of my old next door neighbors used to work at the airport in Barcelona, and she worked there for years and years and years. And she always used to post photos of her with just random members of the Barcelona squad when she saw them, because she's not afraid to ask anybody for a picture. And she's terrific like that. I'd kill for her confidence. But there's the picture of her and Gerard Piqué and like Sergio Busquets, and Victor Valdez, like all these Barcelona legends. And then she put a photo up one day. I was like, why she asked for a picture with this? Like, just a glance, like, it just looks like a Spanish dinner lady. Oh no, wait, no, that's Carlos Poyle. That's Carlos Poyle. So, oh, he's a lot smaller than I was expecting, but he wasn't big. He was not a tall defender, was Carlos Poyle. No. So, I think he's only about 5'8", 5'9". He looks it as well, because she's not big and she dwarfed him. So, Carlos Poyle gets the odd job, and then he works his way up, does his badges on the sly, gets the manager job, and then just he follows me. Carlos Poyle follows me around Europe.
Each country, he's managing your competitor.
Every single country, he just takes a better job than mine as well. So I finally I finally reached the promised land. I make it to Denmark, and I was like, oh, who's the? I wonder who's managing FC Copenhagen. I was, of course it is. Oh, Newcastle have relocated to Denmark. Who's managing them? I was, Carlos Poyle. Of course it is. Follows me forever, even into FM24. What a story arc that would possibly be if it happens. I'm going to see if I can make it happen. I have no control over it, but I really want it to. What a treat! What an absolute treat. There we are. So that's me. Scandinavia. It's good. Other saves have been happening, which I think is worth pointing out at this time as well. Other saves have been happening with varying degrees of success for me. and other members of podcast. It's that time where I remove my hosting hat and I temporarily pass it down into the side to my friend Callum down there.
Oh, it's heavy.
Isn't it though? Heavy is the crown. I've heard it said, heavy is the crown. Because Kev and I have been streaming together as well recently. We've recently finished season 1 of the Football Manager Therapy Network game.
Took us a while.
I was going to say about time. Blimey!
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! We've been working at it. We've been chipping away. We've definitely been chipping away at it, and it is now season 1 is officially done, in the bag. I'm no longer hosting the podcast for a minute. So Callum, hello mate. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hello and welcome to the FMT podcast. I'm your host, Callum, and I'm going to be taking you through the next 10 to 12 minutes while we talk about the network game. If it's anything more than 12 minutes, I am a poor host. So, right, I'm just going to time that. Right, okay, perfect. So,
there's our challenge, Rich.
Oh no. So, the network game, as you say, I mean, fingers crossed we get a second season done by the end of FM23, but season 1 has now come to its end. Rich, I'm going to start with you. So last time we sort of talked, form was inconsistent. You were, I think the stream before that, you were sort of in and around Europe, and then form had dropped off a cliff a little bit. Where did we end? Were we happy? What's the plan for next season?
Well, as you say, mate, form had dropped off a cliff and it landed, and it never really tried to, I was hoping for a bit of a Wile E. Coyote kind of situation. Like, obviously, I've gone off the cliff, down I've gone. You see the little as he hits the ground, but 5 minutes later, he's back with a stick of dynamite and some roller skates chasing the Roadrunner. No, I never really climbed back out, if I'm honest with you. I would say the dampest of squibs was my run-in, realistically speaking. Nothing really happened. The only thing that I think is worth mentioning is that going into the last stream of the save, I was just a bit nonplussed. I was like, Europe isn't going to happen. I'm definitely not relegated. There's not really a huge amount to do. We can try and maintain our league position to an extent, because obviously the higher you finish in the league, the more money you get. Game 1, we need to start strong. Game 1, who have we got week 1? Oh, fantastic. We got Manchester City. This is going to be an absolute treat for everybody involved from the Blue Alpha Manchester. Started against Man City. Scored a very, very, very lucky goal through, I think, James Maddison, who just had a very speculative shot from about 25 yards. And I think Ruben Diaz just turned around and just hoofed it into his own net, trying to block it. But because the ball was technically heading on target, it still went down as a James Maddison goal, because it was just technically a deflection. So we scored early, and then Pep got scared and took Haaland off. So the game finished 1-0. I beat Man City 1-0, which was an excellent start. And I thought, right, can we build on this? No, not really. Not really. We won a few, we lost a few, we drew a few. But inexplicably, still managed to finish in 8th in the Premier League, which was quite incredible, considering I think just every other team around us, form dropped off for them as well. So an 8th place finish, pretty meh. Moved into the next transfer window, finally decided to drop Jack Butland, who was actually not bad. During credit where due to Jack Butland, wasn't terrible, but we've signed a Turkish goalkeeper who can actually, goalkeep, which I thought was quite important. I've gone against my lifelong Football Manager transfer policy, which is signing a player from Sheffield United, which has made me feel a little bit weird. I've signed Anel Ahmedhodzic from Sheffield United. Everybody's favourite centre-back from FM21 and 22. He broke my heart by moving to Sheffield United in real life. Has been exceptional for them in the Championship this season, by the way. A very, very big part in their real-life promotion push for the Premier League. But I thought, if anything, I'm just rescuing him. I'm just helping him out. So I've signed him. And then the rest of my transfer budget is just sat there very up in the air. I've got £40 million left to spend. I've got all the top clubs circling around players like Harvey Barnes, James Maddison. Inexplicably, Leeds want to buy Jamie Vardy from me. So if they want him, they can have him. But I don't want to make any more signings until one of those players has made a commitment one way or the other. It's all just a little bit treading watery until the inevitable £60 million bid for one of my star players comes in. I sell them and then just try and reinvest that money elsewhere. Who knows? It's been a bit bland, bit dry, bit meh. But if there is somebody here whose run-in wasn't, it's probably Kev.
Well, I mean, I would say, Rich, really, if you look at real life Leicester, what a success you had, realistically. And interestingly, the man above me is managing Fulham. And Fulham in real life are having a really good season, but the team that you inherited, Kev, were not. Talk about how you ended the season.
Well, I picked them up in 16th, having got Brighton down to the depths of 19th and got the sack. So I moved on because they moved me on. 16th was where I picked up Fulham. It was a little bit random. It was kind of a few steps forward and a few more back, and we kind of never really went very far. We flirted with dropping a couple of places at one point a stream or so ago. So we went into the last stream a couple of points ahead of the relegation zone, not by far, not by too many. And there was a real danger of being dropped into it. So I was playing for the last game, for the last few games. I had the likes of Southampton and I think Crystal Palace were in my my schedule, and those two were in and around that sort of area as well. So if I'd have lost a couple of games here and there, I could have been dragged into the relegation zone. As it turns out, on the last stream of the first season, my team decided to show up for a while. It wasn't totally consistent. They didn't, blitz everybody and go and get maximum points for the evening, but it was not bad. I think I ended up in with about 10 points for the evening, and we stayed up. We got to we got to safety. I think the team played pretty well, considering that some of my wingers were made of paper and decided not to play for half of it. And I had the likes of Decordova-Reid, who missed the run-in, who was quite an important aspect of my setup and how I was going to play. We did really well and actually ended on a reasonably positive note in terms of just avoiding that relegation, securing Premier League status for next season, going on a bit of a run to show that there is some talent in the squad. There are a lot of deadwood as well, to be totally truthful. There's a lot that I would have to do over the summer, I think, to change some of that. But within the actual context of the squad, there are some very good players. You look at the likes of Polinia and Mitrovic. There's a couple of decent central defenders in there, a good enough goalkeeper. So, the spine isn't bad. And having secured a few good points, and I think I got a draw against maybe someone like Chelsea or something like that. I can't remember exactly who it was now, but there was a decent draw in there, a couple of wins against teams around me in the relegation zone, and we survived. And then we began to look towards next season because we had about an hour or so left of the stream just to think about some additions. I'm already quite excited, Callum. I mean, I've not got a £60 million rated player. I don't think that somebody's going to come in and buy and, restructure my squad for me. I don't think they're going to do that, particularly with my Fulham side. But I've got a good central defender in. Can't remember what the name of it was now, but he's a good central defender because that's the way my mind works. And it was like 6 days ago. But I've got another couple of players on the horizon. But the ones that I do remember and have been imprinted on my brain is that I want to revert back to my favoured 4-4-2 formation for next season. I've had to be playing one up top because we didn't have the quality in and around Mitrovic to play anybody alongside him particularly. I want to change that for next season, go back to my preferred option. And I've got Moukoko on loan for next season already. And I've also got Rasmus Højlund in as well as somebody who could potentially rotate either in the target forward role of Mitrovic or in the advanced forward role of Moukoko if I wanted him to. And I'm not sure I'm done there yet either. So I think with a couple of key additions and a little bit of a wider squad in terms of some quality around what I've already got, I'm hoping I can avoid a relegation fight next season, really, and and just begin to see a few little glimpses of something moving forward a little bit. It was tricky. What can I tell you? Ultimately, we started with the four of us, Alice included, taking 4 teams in the Premier League, and 2 of them got relegated, Callum. I don't know what that says about us. Look, Palace and Brighton both went down. Brighton finished bottom of the table in the end. And I spent 70 million in that first summer transfer window thinking that I'd improve that squad, and it was actually reasonably decent. And for whatever reason, it just showed that it wasn't the case in some form. So those 2 have gone down. Somebody would have a really great time with Brighton, I think, in their current situation in the Championship. But that's for another save. But yeah, for 2 of our 4 teams to get relegated is not a great look for the podcast, really. But ultimately, I survived with Fulham. I'm happy to be at Fulham. I think there's a way in which I can improve them. I think we've started. So kind of bring on next season, really.
I think some of those signings you've made in attack are really genuinely exciting as well. Like that'll be really intriguing to see how they get on. You've answered the question I was going to answer about how did Brighton get on. So that is intriguing that they went down. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're doing rubbish in real life as well, so that makes sense. There's a clear correlation there, isn't there? So that does make sense.
It's not like they've got World Cup winners or anybody in their side.
No, not in the slightest.
It's fine. It's all fine. But I tell you what, you are exactly right. Can you imagine that as a Championship save? My word, that would be fun. That would be so fun to take them over with the situation they're in. Goodness me.
Even if you can't keep half of the really good players, you'll make an absolute fortune on some of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, obviously, the third member of the network game isn't here today. However, I am going to pass the reins over to Rich to fill us in on how Jeb finished the season, because I do think it's important that we also hear about successes within the network save. And I think it would seem that Jeb potentially had the most success without spoiling it. I'll hand you over to Rich.
Yeah, he smashed it. I was really, really tempted to try and do this in Jeb's voice, but I can't do it. I can't do a good Jebbaroo. The closest
lots
I get
of beard strokes.
Lots of beard
I
strokes.
do those.
Kev can cover the beard strokes. You just have to do a deep voice, but then mine just drifts into Jebbaroo doing an impression of Ringo Starr. So I just can't do him justice. But Jeb smashed it. Jeb was consistently brilliant the whole way through the save, has to be said. I think his transfer policy went from interesting at the beginning by spending about £18 million on Liam Cooper, I think it was, to just somehow just picking up absolute gems all over the place. Like Lewis Muriel, he brought in, who scored goals. He just scored a lot of goals. Tactically knew what he was doing. He finished 7th in the end. He only finished 1 place above me, which feels like that's unfair on him and overly fair on me. I don't think his eventual finish did his season justice. There was hope just due to the fact that Chelsea did. We've talked about clubs replicating real life form. Chelsea were abysmal during this season. I think they ended up finishing 11th or 12th under Zinedine Zidane, of all people. But they also won the League Cup and the FA Cup. So due to other clubs cut runs, we were hoping on the very, very last day that maybe Jeb was going to get a surprise European place, which eventually didn't happen. But we talked about transfer windows, early days. If we were to rank them, I am 100% rock bottom. I've signed 2 players, one of whom I definitely needed. Let's not beat around the bush. I was in desperate need of a competent goalkeeper, and I've signed Ahmed Hozic, who's going to be a fine rotation option at the back. But in terms of where I really need to strengthen, I haven't spent the money yet to improve the areas on the pitch I really needed to improve. Kev has signed the most exciting front line in the league for my money. I think that attack next season for Kev so far is going to be incredibly fun to watch. So that's very exciting. But again, Jeb has just come straight out the blocks. I think he sold Adama Traore to Spurs for around £50 million or something obscene like that. So Adama Traore is gone. He's basically now just He's picked the bones of Alice's old Crystal Palace side, because a lot of the players at the club had relegation release clauses, which he has activated. Is it Guehai, the centre-back at Palace? So he's in. He spent about £50 million there. But again, you look at his attributes after one season, phenomenally good. So he's got a rock-solid centre-back, also English. So in terms of the the registration rules, that's another one sorted. Eze as well is another one.
I love Eze.
Big release clause. So he's smashed the transfer window early doors already. He's come in and made some moves. So next season, like that again, this is the thing. I can look at Kev's team and I can be objective about how well they're going to do. I can look at Jeb's team. Like if Jeb doesn't finish in the European place next season, something's gone hideously wrong for him. And Kev, I can see you being, top half easily after a run. But again, you've got goal scorers. You've got a constant goal scoring threat now. I don't know in terms of Leicester where they're going to be, but the absolute star in terms of entertainment value was Kev, without question, because the story arc was phenomenal. In terms of actual FM performance, in terms of just sitting back and watching somebody playing the game really, really well, Jeb smashed it. Jeb absolutely smashed it and deserved his seventh. Well, I say deserved it. Deserved more. Deserved Europe this season for sure.
He was in there for so long in those European spots, and that's the thing, isn't it? There's that thing in IRL football as well. So if we look at the current Premier League as it currently stands at the moment, you look at someone like Arsenal. If at the beginning of the season you'd suggested to Arsenal fans that they would spend X amount of weeks in the top spot of the Premier League for this season, they'd bite your hand off for it at the beginning. But because they have, and now potentially they're going to drop off a little bit and maybe Man City are going to win the league, does that mean it's a bad season for Arsenal, a disappointing one? It will feel like it, but it's really not, because they've made strides forwards in a lot of areas. And that's what happened to Jeb. He was sitting in and around those European spots for so long that the minute in the last stream or so where it just drops a little bit and you find yourself on the periphery of that and actually not taking one of those spots, it can feel really, really disappointing. But it's not actually. Wolves finished 7th in the Premier League. That's a really good, solid foundation for him to build from. And that's what he has got, and Rich, for me, has got as an advantage over me for next season, is that they've got their foundation sorted, and I'm now having to build mine to see if I can make them a better prospect than they were previously. I thought I'd done it with Brighton at the beginning of the season. It didn't work. I've now got to do that with Fulham. But as you say, what Jeb will do in the transfer market this season is sprinkle some fairy dust over the top of what was already a very good structure. And we'll see what he can do next season. But it was a really interesting one. This was my first season as of a network game. I'd never done one ever before. And whilst we were unfortunate in being a little bit random in terms of when we could do it and how often it could actually happen and all that kind of stuff, and we, the three of us, I'm sure, would much prefer it to be more consistent than it was able to be. It was a lot of fun. It's a really interesting way to play. It's a challenging thing to stream it and do that well and make it engaging and all sorts of other things for people to watch. But the actual process of playing the network game was really, really enjoyable. And I am really looking forward to season number 2.
Lovely stuff. Well, it's as you say, it's nice to sort of have that closure of the first year. You're all still in the same division. That's a bonus. And sometimes within a network save, one team getting Europe, for example, can be a little bit of an issue because it means the other people are basically waiting while this person plays a lot more fixtures than everyone else. So for the actual save itself, it might have been a good thing that Jeb didn't get Europe, even though obviously it would have been nice for him to get Europe. I mean, Jeb he's very knowledgeable on the game. Whenever I'm on the playoffs with him and he's hosting, he has a plethora of knowledge. So the fact he's sort of gone out and got those players and ultimately strengthened a Wolves team, which it's Wolves, they're not a team really that should be challenging there. is very impressive. So I think all three of you have done very well in your different ways.
Thanks, Callum.
Yeah, no problem, Kev. And this crown is awfully heavy, Rich. So if you wouldn't mind, could I pass it back? Is that okay?
Please.
It's really worth saying, just as you do that, though. Get your angles right, Rich. It's fine.
Thank you.
It's really worth saying, though, unfortunately, we are going to be a little bit inconsistent over the next couple of weeks. Rich can't do this coming Monday. For Patreons listening to this on the Monday, it won't be happening. And there also won't be one the following week either, because Jeb is unavailable for that. So we'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks. Of course, we'll chuck it all over here and social media and stuff when we do. But yeah, for the next couple of Mondays, it won't be happening. But we will be coming back with season number 2.
We 100% will. And I'm excited to get started. Again, apologies for if you're listening to this on Monday the 15th as a Patreon. Yeah, apologies for no stream tonight. So I had the audacity to have a birthday. I know. I'm furious. I'm furious with my wife.
Planning, Rich. Where's your planning?
I know. It's because my wife genuinely. This isn't even a bit. This is just a statement of fact. She asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday, and my follow-up question to that was, "When's my birthday?" And she went, "It's next Monday." Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I definitely remembered that one. Because, when you factor in things like 2 children's birthdays and anniversaries and Mother's Day, you're like, oh, I was born at some point. I can't remember when. So
I'd quite like you at some point, Rich, if it's possible and you're, connected to them enough to have a conversation with your biological parents as to why they chose to have you on that day all those years ago. Because, it's ruined the network saved this year.
The audacity, absolute audacity. I'm furious, absolutely furious with them. And find out why by listening to last week's podcast. We'll be back. We'll be back, and I'm very, very excited to get going again. Lovely. Now we've talked saves. We've talked network game. If there's one thing we haven't really brought up too much recently, if I'm honest with you, it's PvP. But the PvP front for us, for the podcast boys, has been a little bit quiet recently. We've not really had a huge amount going on. Obviously, Kev still the reigning FM Football Manager World Heavyweight Champion. Kev Lesnar.
All those many, many title defenses that I've had.
All the defenses. He's a fighting champion. I'm just
hoping if I sit in my corner really quietly, I'll be here till the end of the cycle.
No one will know you're there.
Nobody will know.
Nobody will know he's there. Nobody will know he's there. Kev will not defend
Roman
the belt.
Reigns does, isn't it?
Exactly. Kev will not defend the belt until he is physically sent the belt. That's just how it works. That's just how it works. And the title reign gets longer and longer and longer. But as I say, with the playoffs taking a small hiatus, that means that obviously you will know that Jeb and Kev and also Callum all heavily involved in the playoffs. Jeb massively behind the scenes, Kev as the world's greatest panel member, Callum as the young pretender.
Second greatest.
He's just really good at panels. They're both just really good at panels.
Can I just tell you, seriously, this week I got called somebody's second favorite panelist on FM draft competitions because why Callum is there.
No, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
That is, I was told
is
that
ridiculous.
So
have they ever met Llama?
Somebody out there loves you, Callum. What can I tell you?
I'll take it. Thank you to that person. Thank you.
Bless them. Yeah, but you are both really, really good at panels. I enjoy getting on to invite things like Drafts and Crafts by Tony because it just means I can just sit there and say things. But you guys are very, very good. Very, very good at panels. But as I say, with the playoff hiatus, it's been a little bit quiet. We haven't really had much going on until this week because there's some announcements have been made. You scallywag, you. Because the FM Super League is back. The FM Super League is back. There some invitations to the finals have been made. One of them has been extended to my friend Callum here.
Woo!
Callum is PvPing. It's been a hot minute since you've actually sat in the actual competitor's chair. But Callum is PvPing.
It's been so long that I'm not in the draft rankings. I have dropped out of them completely. So I am unranked for this tournament, unknown. People have literally forgotten how bad I am at drafting, which is fantastic news. I'm going to go in incredibly confident, probably in a variety of costumes. I cannot wait.
The way it should be done. The Tim Lewis method. You get dressed up, and the people fall in love with you. So we share. Also.
Is anyone else in it, Rich?
It's me. I'm in. Which is lovely because finally. Look, I value, we talked about this last week, or I talked about it a lot. I value this podcast. I love this podcast. I love getting down to sit and chat to people, to you guys, the FM team, to guests when we have guests on. It's a privilege. It's a joy. I really, really enjoy it. But, there's a small part of me like, hey, I host a reasonably decent podcast. Invite me to tournaments, please, and thank you. And the Super League listened. God bless you, Murph.
Thanks, Murph. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, an invite to a final,
that's
which saves me getting knocked out in qualifying.
That's a real glimpse into Rich, though, isn't it? Because he suggested that Murph actually listened. So he has actually been doing that. He's been going around going, invite me to play the draft competition.
All the
for
things.
Goodness sake.
Yeah.
And Murph went, all right, Rich, all right.
All right, fine. I have actually just a really, really long list of demands. I've got like a draft rider. I will appear in your draft competition. Here's my fee. I demand a bye to the final with a 5-goal head start, and I'll still get beaten 6-5. I'm really looking forward. I'm looking forward to doing a draft. Callum and we've had a little chat this week, and just if this is the first time you're listening to a podcast, I think we should just if you're not aware of the PvP scene in Football Manager, just to summarize it very, very briefly. It's a player versus player competition where you sit there, you draft a team, then play a competition with that team. You sit there panicking about every tiny, minuscule detail of the draft, about the players you're picking, the order you pick them in, the tactics you're going to use. You panic about all of these things, and then some stuff happens, and then Car X just wins. That's how drafting it. That's how FM23 drafting goes. Car is also in the tournament, so congratulations on winning. This is going out before it happens.
Well, you say that, Rich, but if you've seen the lineup, it's quite good. I mean, it's almost like we've been invited to a final or something. I thought this was the qualifiers. I don't know what's going on. A few of these people have played FM before, and I don't think that's very fair. I thought we were sort of being given our bye to the final, so we could, the FMT final. It's what the fans want ultimately. But I've heard, Car X, Maggio, Trek, GYR, FM King, and a mystery guest. I mean, mystery, I can't handle that. Have you heard the rest of the list? It is ridiculous. So I would like to officially go on record and say, if I get a point during this tournament, I will be over the moon, and there will be an open top bus.
I cannot wait to hand you 3, mate. I cannot wait to hand you 3.
If we're in the same group, oh my word, it's like a derby.
Okay, I'm stepping in. I've had enough. I can't cope. I am the reigning, defending, undisputed FM World Heavyweight Champion. I will not have my podcast team going, I might get a point. We're going to win the damn thing. FMT has to win this. It doesn't matter which one it is. They will not divide us. They will not conquer us. We will go and we will win titles. One of you's got to win it. Both of you in the final would be great. I'm backing you. Come on, boys. Let's have a little bit of confidence here.
Thank you, Kev. Thank you. Also, I can just next week's podcast. It's just going to be Kev being Roman Reigns telling us that he shows off. I can just see it. You're supposed to win. Oh, we forgot to do a win. Whoops.
No.
It's gonna be great,
boys. Come on, you can do this. FMT all the way.
I feel like I should just do the classic Simpsons thing where I've already congratulated Carr on winning, but I made the mistake of not covering my mouth when I said it, so we can overdub it in a few weeks' time. Yeah. So congratulations to on winning the draft, and then we can just feed it back in later. Yeah. The Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely fantastic because that's the bit from the show. No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Unfortunately, the last PvP competition I was taking part in, I had to pull out last minute. It's one of those horrible, unavoidable things, which Limo invited me to the Spring Cup. Couldn't make it, which was not ideal. But these things occasionally do happen. Such is life. So looking forward to knuckling down and doing some drafting with my friend Callum. It's going to be really nice. I don't know why I whispered that. I'm looking
all the very best to you. Come on, let's do this.
Thank you very much, Kev. Thank you. I'm sure you will be sat at home cheering us on.
I will be watching.
The kind of person that you There we go. So, okay, it's just in case you're wondering, date-wise, it is taking place. The draft is taking place on Friday the 19th, and the competition itself will be taking place late afternoon, early evening on Sunday the 21st. All our Twitch links are in the description of this episode, so just give us a click, give us a follow, come and hang out with us, and watch us panic. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again, Murph, for the invites. We appreciate you, mate.
Yes.
West Midlands represent.
Thanks, Murph.
Now, normally we've been recording for ages already. We've had a lovely chat this afternoon. Before we start to wrap things up, I think we should just very briefly revisit. We were given some homework a couple of episodes ago, weren't we? We were given a little bit of homework because we spent a long time talking about training schedules, and we all promised that we would do some training schedules. Callum, obviously starting with you, pal, you are the man that set the homework, almost like you're a teacher or something. You set us some homework talking about training schedules. Obviously, you've already had yours in place. How's that been working out for you? How's it going?
Excellent. You got it in again. First season, really good. No complaints from players, which was unusual. I'll be honest, I set up my Saturday game week and my 2-game week, and that was what I continued consistently through the season. Didn't re-alter it too much, and we stayed up, and I thought it was successful. In my second season, I've gone for that. Right, okay, it worked. First season, why would I change it? I've started to have a few complaints from players, which is interesting because we're doing a lot better this season. I wonder whether it is because I'm not altering it an awful lot. So now I have started going in and I've started saying, right, what aren't you happy about? One of them said, quickness training. There's not enough quickness training. Perfect. So I've added that in. There's a couple who weren't happy with sort of like individual training. And so I've altered that as well. We're doing a lot better this season. The training is clearly having an impact on the way we play, I think. We're scoring more goals. And if anyone remembers from my save update, that was what I wanted to do this season. I wanted to score more goals because I felt we were strong defensively. With training and signings, hopefully we could build upon that, and it's working. So I'm really happy with how my training is going still, although I have had a few murmurs, like I say, of actually, I don't like this anymore. But it's just about addressing those, and then if you can't address them, tell the player that I'm bigger than you and you need to leave. I think that's the most important thing in this situation. There's no one bigger than me.
Exactly. You're not bigger than this club. You're not bigger than the manager. That's exactly the most important thing to bear in mind. Kev, how about you, pal? Somebody who has tried before and not had the best results with it. You've revisited. How's it work? How's it going?
I have. It's been really interesting. I would say I live in constant fear currently of that message coming up and saying, your players have revolted and nobody's shown up for training because they all think it's dreadful. What are you doing? That kind of thing. I've kind of, every time a news item comes around, I'm scouring it going, training. So yes, I did. I set up my training. I spent one whole stream a couple of weeks ago doing it. So what my structure of training roughly is, I set up 4 individual weeks that rotate. They all have an individual sort of aspect to them that's focused on. So I've got an attacking week, I've got a defending week, a defensive week, I've got a tactics week, and I've got a possession-based week. So we work on different skill sets in those 4 and we rotate them. And within that, you know, there's team bonding and community outreach and reviews of games and other bits and pieces that are happening as well. But those are the 4. And then I also set up some pre-season stuff that I haven't really had the opportunity to use yet because we're in the middle of a current season, but that's ready to go for next time round for next season. And I set it up for, you know, my individual 1 match weeks on a Saturday, my Wednesday and Saturday weeks, my Sunday and Thursday weeks, my, you know, random Tuesday afternoon, you got a dentist appointment week or whatever. I don't know what it is. There's a lot that I made these different training schedules for, and then we implemented it. And what I would say is that there are some murmurings around, and it is that thing of quickness is the one that I've had as well. If that was the specific one for Callum, they're saying there's not enough quickness training. Well, run faster then, for goodness sake. You know, what else am I supposed to do that? And then you switch that a little bit and you may tweak it a little bit. And then some says there's not enough strength training, but I just took the strength training out to make the quickness training because you want it more quickness training, you know, and round and round it goes a little bit. What I would say is that I'm also doing this weird thing. I don't know if you're aware that you can do it. Is every so often they give you a review of training and you can praise good ones and criticize bad ones. I mean, alien stuff.
Wow.
But I've been beginning to do that a little bit. And there are a couple of weeks where actually the bad trainers aren't actually as bad as they used to be potentially. And they're beginning to sort of just shift a little bit. And occasionally there's a couple that you can actually praise because they're doing well. So yeah, it's a little bit, I'm in the first season of it. I've put it in. The world hasn't imploded completely. I don't know what impact it's having, particularly on the wider team and how we're playing. I'll probably update you on my save in the next week or so. This coming week, I will get to the end of season number 3 in Hungary. And for those that are following my series, that's quite a big moment. So we'll see what happens with that. So I'm not sure whether it's going to have made a huge difference or not at this point. But I feel actually quite good having done them. And what I would say is it's achieved one specific thing. And that is during my 2-hour live stream, it's not just let's click to the next match. It's we have to review the training. We're going into the data hub to understand where our team is working or not. We're asking questions like, if you're relatively high up in the league and you're performing roughly where you should do, does it actually matter if your defenders are being called out for not doing too many blocks on the ball? Do you have to work on that if you're actually at the top of the table roughly and doing pretty well? So, the data hub in terms of what it's actually providing you, do you have to listen to all of it? So we're asking those sort of questions. Yeah. So in and roundabout way, it has achieved what I wanted it to achieve. I'm getting a broader version of the game to play with a few more aspects that I have to pay attention to. I am still absolutely petrified that they'll all call me out on it at some stage and say, no, you're rubbish. You've all got it wrong and I'm leaving the club or some ridiculous thing. Hasn't happened yet. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I look forward to seeing how much I can absolutely ruin them in a pre-season next time round. Let's see. But what about yourself, Rich? How's training been for you?
Yep, definitely set it up. Definitely went really well, and I will take no further questions on it at this point.
Can I just can I just suggest, Rich? You know that click go live button that you have.
Yeah,
that enables people to actually come and watch what you do. I happen to have been in your stream this week.
Yeah. Okay. So look, this is what's happened. Right. We set myself the homework. Then I wasn't here. I wasn't streaming for about a week and a half because of dog commitments. So that's happened. And then the week after that, Monday night, was network game night. So I'm hardly going to sit there on network game night and set up training schedules. That
would have been hilarious. I still think we should have done that to Jeb. An hour and a half in, we've not moved on at all because of training.
Quickness training. We've now reached the end of Monday. So now let's talk about Tuesday. And then Thursday night was anniversary stream night. And, I went in with the best intentions. And then I looked at training schedules and I opened up a new one. And then I had a slight panic attack because I was like, I don't even know where to begin. People are here. It's anniversary night. They're expecting different things. So instead of a training schedule, I gave them a move to Rosenborg instead. So now I'm at a new club. Which I've not touched. I've just arrived. I've looked at some players very quickly and I've closed the save down.
Rich.
This week.
Rich. Careful. You seem to have dulled our sunshine boy.
Oh, it's not possible. He's made of rainbows. He's made entirely of rainbows.
Rich,
tell him you disappointed him.
I am very, very disappointed. I can't believe after all this time you haven't given training. We were supposed to be the pioneers. Oh,
I'm still a pioneer.
I'm close to tears. Kev, although I am a teacher, so what I won't do is dwell on that too much. And what I will say is, Kev, well done for giving it a go and being brave. That is really fantastic. I'm proud of you, Kev. I'm proud of you.
I feel like I've just been 4 out of 10 C-need. That's what I've... Oh, mate. Why have you got to do me like that? Why have you got to be that guy? Look, I'm telling you now, this week, this Thursday night, when I'm streaming Rosenborg, and I've got I'll do training. Oh, dog ate the training schedule. Sorry, sir. I don't know what to say.
I did say earlier in the pod that I thought that FM23 was the scariest game we could possibly play. I think Rich is demonstrating that again.
Bring on zombies. Bring on zombies. Rich implements quickness training and then cries for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the new YouTube video.
Not clickbait in capitals, in brackets. I've let the side down, boys, but I'm going to do it.
You can do this.
You can do it.
Do this.
I can do it. You can.
Exactly. It's gonna be fine. Look, I'm just saying, if maybe some of you might be in chat on Thursday night, it might be easier. Who knows? Just to give you the encouragement where I need it, because I definitely need it. So there we go. Differing results. Callum has implemented training, and weirdly, the things that he wanted to improve via his training are improving. Kev has implemented training, and it hasn't imploded. And I'm also on the podcast. So
I can also confirm that I know for a fact that Jeb has done a couple of bits of training this week as well.
Yeah, Jeb's also been doing it as well, hasn't he?
Well done, Jeb.
This is it. I'm sure you would both would have looked as furious as each other when I got to that. So there we go. There we go. We can imagine he's here. He's here in spirit. There we are. So come back next week when I will definitely have done my homework. I promise. There we are.
Just tell everybody at the Super League that you've got to do training before you can play the first game.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no, don't worry. There is a caveat in the Super League information we've all been sent out that there will be no training schedules implemented.
What's the point?
Almost like that was part of the deal for me appearing on the Super League. Weird that. There we are, boys. I don't know about you. Don't know about the two of you, but I reckon that's a podcast.
I reckon it certainly felt like one.
Good. It absolutely felt like one. If it feels like one, smells like one, acts like one, it's probably a podcast. It's been lovely. I've really enjoyed this morning. Callum, it's been lovely to have you back, mate. We missed you last week, but we saw photos of you in your suit looking all handsome. So that was enough. That's got me through. Before we go, one quick reminder for you, the audience. If you like us and maybe want to spend a bit of time with us, you can do so on the evening of Sunday, the 28th of May. FMT versus the Community 3 community draft. It's a community draft. It's not ranked. It's not serious. Come and hang out in a voice call with us for a few hours.
What do you mean it's not serious? The
it's very
FMT
serious.
pod have won the first
It's
two.
really serious. If you're us,
out.
we have to win. But for you, the community, just just spend an evening with people that are definitely going to beat you at drafting. Come hang out. There's spaces left. Get in touch if you want to come do drafting with us. Just let us know. Drop us a message on our socials, in the YouTube comments, via the Discord, however you want to do it. Let us know if you want to come play Football Manager with us. Speaking of the socials as well, thank you all very much again for your support. Numbers are wonderful on our social media, on YouTube. Our Spotify numbers are great, and that's all because of you, the audience. Yep. So thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, do the clicking, do the liking, do the sharing, do the subscribing. Leave us a comment, because it sounds like such a YouTube cliche, but genuinely it does help. So if you want to do that, please do. If you don't, I'm not your dad. I can't make you. I'm just going to put it out there and ask. Before we go, fellas, Callum, we'll start with you, mate. If people want to watch you just killing the game with Slough, or if they want to watch you, the unranked drafter, this coming weekend for the Super League, where can they find you doing those things, pal?
They can find me obviously over on ycallum on Twitch, ycallum_ on Twitter. And yeah, it's going to be a busy week this week in the world of ycallum with continuation of Slough. I think I'm going to be completing season 10, and playoffs might happen again. And I love playoffs, love them. I just can't get enough playoffs. So that might happen. And then obviously we'll be concluding the week with the Super League, the first ranked draft I've done for a very, very long time. And I am definitely not nervous at all. I would like to just add, I got a bit of a slap on the wrist, rightly so, because we've been talking an awful lot about training, haven't we? And one of a prominent member of my chat called Kemal, he was very, very important during the training. He really helped me. So I just wanted to mention him as well and say, thank you, Mal. He does call himself Y Malum now. So thank you very much, Y Malum, for the help with training as well.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, why Malum? If you're available Thursday evening, have I got a stream for you to join? Yeah, please. I need all the help I can get. Kev, where can the people find you making all the wonderful content you make and the communities you create?
So you can find me at the United City FM, both on Twitter and Twitch. I'm on Twitch pretty much most weekday afternoons, 3 till 5 p.m. Remember, we're not on the network save this week, but I will be in and around watching the Super League later in the week. So come and join us all for that. That'll be a lot of fun to watch Callum and Rich destroy everybody in the competition and take it home for the FMT. But also, I'd like to give a shout out at this point to Murph, who is the guy behind the Super League. Really great guy, really great streamer, all-round good egg. So make sure you go give lots of love to Murph FM on his own personal streams this week in the lead up to the Super League, but also through the Super League as well. And I will just confirm, just because it's something that Callum just said, the playoffs is absolutely on its way back. It's been a little bit delayed at the moment. We're in the process of trying to figure out the best dates for it and all that kind of stuff behind the scenes, but it is on its way back, just not quite yet. But I assure you, it's coming.
Watch this space. We missed the FM playoffs. It's a wonderful, wonderful competition. And I'm not just saying that because of the involvement of other members of the team. It's very, very good. And we've missed it. So can't wait. Cannot wait for it to come back. If you want to watch me panicking at either training schedules or zombies, you can do so at twitch.tv/Rich Owens FM. Come hang out. We have a nice time. And it's at Rich Owens FM on Twitter as well for me just talking about FM and occasional jokes. Very, very occasional jokes. But I have to do one every 6 months or so. Otherwise, the Comedians Guild just kicks me out. They're like, soz, mate, you've not been funny online for a while. Get out.
Morten Gans Pedersen was quite funny.
There you go. The best joke I could. Yeah, you go. There you go. I can't be stopped. When you're on, you're just always on. It's a curse. It's an absolute curse. There we are, fellas. Thank you so much for this morning. It's been
pleasure.
An
thank you.
Pleasure. Lovely to chat to you both, as it always is, and thank you, the audience, because without you, this is just three people sat around talking to each other on a Sunday morning for no other reason other than the fact that we just quite like each other. So there we go. This has been another wonderful episode of Football Manager Therapy. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next one. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.